So here's an interesting little fact for you. This cabinet, which was a handmade cabinet, very, very high quality, has been here for over 25 years. And there was an original aquarium that was on this particular cabinet, and it let go a couple of years ago. So one thing just to be very aware of is that silicone does have a shelf life. So generally, depending on the quality of the silicone, will depend on how long the silicone lasts. If I wouldn't think about buying or moving a tank over 10 years old, because after 10 years, the silicone gets quite brittle. Now, the thing is, if it's just sat there and it's not moved, then that 10 years could easily turn into 20 years. Now, in this case, the previous tank was here for over 20 years, so that's an absolute best case scenario. Now, let's say that your aquarium is 10 years old and you're suddenly moving it to a new location. What you need to be aware of is that this silicone is set at a certain angle. Now, if you go and move this tank and put it somewhere else and it's slightly in a different angle, the brittle old silicone has just got no ability to give, and that's when it tends to leak. So an aquarium sitting there like that, made of high quality silicone, can easily last 20 years. But once again, I would not be buying or moving an aquarium over 10 years old. If your aquarium is over 10 years old and you have to move it, even if you're just moving it from there to there or whatever, the fact that it's now going in a different position means that all the rest of the equipment's likely fine, but I would consider purchasing a new aquarium because, once again, when you move the aquarium from one spot to another, that's when it tends to give, and it often doesn't give straight away. It gives like a year or so after you move it, but it does end up letting go. So when you do have an opportunity to replace your aquarium, just remember the glass fish tank itself is often the cheapest part. By the time you've bought all your filters and lights and cabinet and all the rest of it, then you've spent a lot more money than the actual aquarium itself. So if you do have an opportunity to get yourself a new tank, when your aquarium is over 10 years old, then that's an opportunity that I would definitely grab.